into what we are supposed to know and do as regards the induction. Mr. President, over to you, sir.
Very good evening to our distinguished members and yet to be inducted members of our great institute. Permit me to welcome you to this session. That is the pre-induction session for the 2024 IIM annual lecture that is slated for Port-Harcourt on the 14th of September 2024. This particular session is actually developed to help create the desired awareness concerning issues around membership of our great institute, and also to assist prospective members and even existing members to remind them of some of the processes at the institute and some information that would help to ensure that they're able to take full advantage of their membership. So without wasting too much of our time, before we commence, I want to use this opportunity to request from us all, for us to introduce ourselves, stating our names, our organization, our membership grade at the institute, and other information like some of the things we might be looking forward to actually have taken away from today's presentation. So if the fastest finger, if you are able to unmute, kindly introduce yourself while we get into the program proper. Thank you. So, okay, let me call on Edith Idawari Faga. Oh, sorry, I didn't pronounce that well. Kindly unmute and introduce yourself, please. Is Edith there?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, my name is Edith Idawarifa. I'm actually a document controller in DCN, Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company. So I'm really happy to be part of this great institute. And I am happy that today I'll be inducted to become a professional member. Thank you.
Thank you, Edith. We're glad to have you on board. Can we have Theophilus, please kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, my name is Apollos Theophilus from Archive Global here in Abuja. I am actually a prospective member.
Okay, nice having you on board. What's your membership
Thank you
grade?
very much, sir.
Theophilus, what's your membership grade?
I'm not a member. I said I'm a prospective member.
As a prospective member, you mean, are you registered already, slated for induction?
No, not yet.
Not yet, okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So can we have the next person? Mr. Dr. Ogunsolu Kolawole, you can unmute and introduce yourself. Okay, if Dr. Ogunsolu is not ready, we have Fatima Bamali. Kindly introduce yourself.
My name was this is Dr. Kola Hole Ogunsholu. Sorry, my phone just went on September. I couldn't release it, but now it's on. Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dr. Kola Wale Ogunsholu, FIIM. Been in broadcasting for over 30 years now, and have joined the Institute of Information Management for over 2 years. I've just been inducted as an honorary doctorate degree here in Houston, Texas. Thank you very much, IIM. And that's what I am at the moment. Looking forward for a prospective title next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ogunsolu, for making it a point of duty to be part of this session. Like I mentioned at the beginning, the session is not only for those that are coming for the very first time, but it's also an opportunity for existing members to also, refresh their memories in terms of, some of the values at the Institute. So thank you, Dr. Gosolu, once again. May I call on Mr. Benjamin Iyare? If you are there, kindly unmute and introduce yourself. We'd like to meet you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Doctor. I guess you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay. My name is Benjamin Iyare. I am from Gobert Reliance Investment Company. I will be inducted as FIIM by October 26th. I happen to be the head of IT and data management at Gobert Reliance Investment Company. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you on board. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let me call on Are to introduce himself. Are, Ambassador Are Tunji Okigbola. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ambassador. We can
I'm
hear you.
Tunji Okigbola. Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Okay. I'm Tunji Okigbola, FIIM, and CDO Ambassador. I'm supposed to be inducted for honorary award, doctorate award on October 26th.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We're glad to have you on board, sir.
Thank you.
So, can we have Dr. Princess Walade Fakunda, please? Kindly introduce yourself.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. President, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity you have given me. I will not but first thank you for all your efforts in making sure that we are all compliant with the assignment that is before us, especially all of us that are professionals. We thank you because you are always there to help us and to develop us. Anyway, so we are very grateful, sir.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I am Princess Dr. Tiwalade Fapunda. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Information Management, Chief Data Officer Ambassador, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and fellow of about 3 or 4 other professional bodies. I'm a Jerusalem pilgrim, and I'm also the immediate past vice president of this our great institute. I retired 4 years ago as a director from the Federal Civil Service of Nigeria. And since after my retirement, I've been working on the establishment I founded called 5-in-1 Global Management Consulting. And God has, through IIM, God has been helping us in this great work that is in my hand. And recently, to be precise, on the 20th of July this year, 2024, I was conferred with PhD from the International Institute of Information Management, Denver, Colorado, USA. And the program was held at Easton, Texas. So I'm happy to be here. No knowledge is lost. I know I've had a lot of these pre-induction training lectures, but as I said, no knowledge is lost. I'm happy to be here to refresh what I've learned before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that introduction. Let me call on Dr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo. Kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo, and I'm the European Union /Africa consultant on intellectual property matters in Nigeria. I'm currently the deputy head of the technology, media, and entertainment sector of Jackson Edu. Jackson Edu is a leading West Africa intellectual property and technology law practice. Yes, I'm to be inducted as a fellow, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Doc. Nice having you on board. May I call on Okon Ineobonk? Kindly unmute and introduce yourself. Okay, while we're waiting for Okon, I'd like to call on Madam Thelma Iwose, one of our advisory board members in Accra, Ghana. Kindly unmute and introduce yourself, Madam.
What is happening? Good evening, everyone. My name is Thelma Iwose, a retired archivist and records manager. I'm a fellow member. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice having you, Madam. You also forgot to mention that you were the past director of archives, Ghana Archives.
I didn't forget.
It's better for others to know us. We need to know ourselves.
Okay.
Information. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you again in Accra next month, by the grace.
Okay. Right.
Mr. Anthony Day, if you are there, kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Idei Anthony from United Bank for Africa. So it's my privilege. I'll be inducted as SPIMM. It's my first time. I'm so happy. I'm overwhelmed. I have to park on the road to take this Zoom call. So it's a privilege. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Can we have Mr. Celestinachi kindly unmute and introduce yourself?
Okay, good evening, my able president. Thank you for your excellent leadership. I'm a fellow of the Institute, and I'm also an AI, let me call it an AI enthusiast. And of course, I engage in speaking engagements when it comes to artificial intelligence and digital communication. I am the CEO of Sehan Media Communications. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Nice having you. Madam Mangi Muladze, kindly unmute and introduce yourself. So while we wait for Madam Mangi to unmute, we can have Mr. Udeme Efang. Mr. Efang, kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
I'm coming. I just want to pack it for her.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Chairman. I am Udeme Henry Efanga. I work with the National Identity Management Commission. I'm a prospective member registered to be inducted in Abuja as a fellow of the Institute. It's a privilege and I appreciate the opportunity to be a member of this great organization. I'm a woman, I'm not a man.
Oh, really sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
Very sorry about that. Nice having you on board.
Thank you.
All right. Can we have Stephen Oguniran kindly unmute and introduce
yourself? My name is Stephen Oguniran Tunde. I work for Defense Health Maintenance Limited. I'm the head of department ICT. I'm also the chief data officer of the company. As you know, that's an health insurance agency of the government. I'm glad to be part of this esteemed institute, to be inducted in the forthcoming induction program as a fellow of the institute. I'm really glad I've been encouraged by the several online training and sessions that I've listened to, very high personality of the institute delivering. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Nice having you on board. Madam Udeme, you're not a prospective member. You're already accredited to be inducted. So see yourself as an accredited member already. You're already accredited.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Let me call on, okay. Dr. Taiwo Oyeleye, kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Good evening, esteemed members, presidents. I'm happy to be here. I'm a fellow of the Institute. I'm a medical practitioner. I'm also an health information management enthusiast, and I've been involved in a few projects here and there. I'm also the chairperson of the Research and Development Committee of the Institute. I'm happy to be here and I welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Nice having you on board. Can we, Mr. Anago, please kindly unmute and introduce yourself. Nicholas Mukwa should also be on standby.
Sir. Good evening, our able international president. I greet you, sir.
Thank you. Nice having
Sorry,
you.
I was joining a bit late.
You're welcome.
I was kind of a bit under the weather for that, but I'm here. All right, so my name is Ambassador Alexander Mdosielago. Been with the Institute for long and a fellow of this institute, CDO, also a project manager for the Institute for various projects in types of Nigeria Data Protection Commission on national certification projects for privacy and data protection. I'm nice to be here, so we'll listen to our pre-inductions that was happening. I'm here. Thank you so much, Mr. President, for the opportunity to introduce myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support and your contribution so far. They're highly appreciated. Okay, can we have the next person?
Sorry.
If you are yet to introduce yourself, kindly unmute. I might not be able to capture all the names now. If you're yet to introduce yourself, you can just you can unmute and introduce yourself, please. Our time is fast spent. By 7:30, we should go straight into the presentation. So those that are yet to officially introduce themselves, they have the opportunity now. Okay, in the absence of none, I think okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me? Okay, so good evening, the esteemed president, members of the Institute of Information Management. My name is Professor Nicholas Iwokwa. I work with the Federal University of Technology member, and I'm due for induction in Abuja next month. It's good to be here.
Thanks a lot, Prof. We're glad to have you on board.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in Abuja by the special grace of God.
Amen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, can I also introduce myself quickly? I'm aware that we don't have enough time now. So my name is Lindy Chabavu, Pingwana Chabavu from South Africa. I'm a founder member of Muteo Information Governance, a consulting company. I work with Mangi. I think she has a problem unmuting, but she is in the meeting. Yeah, and I'm a prospective member. I'm here to hear more on how to join as a member. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maggie, if she can hear me, thank you so much for the warm reception during my stay in South Africa a couple of days back. And
Yes.
looking forward to meeting you guys again sometime soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So do we still have any other member that is yet to officially do the introduction?
Yes.
Kindly go ahead, please.
I don't know whether you're hearing me. Hello?
Loud and clear.
My network is...
We can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Udo. You can hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Udobasi Rachel. I work with the Federal Capital Territory Institution as a senior admin officer. I am a new member, a fellow of the institute. It's nice being here with you. Good evening.
Thanks a lot. We're glad to have you on board.
Not out again.
Thank you. So do we still have any other member that is yet to join the list of those that have officially introduced themselves? Okay, Madam Grace Agenti, I haven't heard from you. Not sure. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. How are you
Yes,
today?
sir. I'm good, thank God. I'm good.
You can proceed with your introduction.
Oh, okay, sir. Good evening, everyone on the call. My name is Grace Agenti. I'm a fellow of the Institute, and I'm based in Abuja. I don't know if all that is to say.
Do you belong to any committee?
Yes, sir. The Education Committee. Yes, sir.
Nice having you here this evening.
Thank you, sir.
So without taking too much of our time, today's session is all about the orientation program for new members, and a very good opportunity for existing members to also refresh their memories on processes, activities, and programs at the institutes, our great institutes. Like we all know, the name of the institute is the Institute of Information Management, and we are the premier international institute in the field of data and information management, not only in Africa, but across the globe. IIM happen to be a foremost international organization that is predominantly focused on data and information management. So by way of introduction, I am Ambassador Dr. Oyedokun Adejoyewole. I'm the international president of this great institute. I'm a computer scientist. I've been in the ITIM industry for over 2 decades. And a very large chunk of my career has been in the oil and gas. For a summary of my profile, you can actually visit my LinkedIn page for a summary of that. I'm also available on major social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. So we all have successfully introduced ourselves, and delving straight into the presentation. The Institute of Information Management, like I mentioned earlier on, being an international professional institute, is a membership-driven institution. And the essence is to create a platform where professionals, that are responsible for managing the data and information life cycle within the enterprise could leverage on in order to promote and also, project their professional career, regardless of the industry in which they operate. So we have professionals that are charged with data management, records management, document management, information management, knowledge management, content management, and archives management. Having that platform for proper recognition of what they do, because this happens to be one of the challenges being faced by professionals within the IM field. So the goal of the Institute is also to ensure that we're able to provide adequate guidance when it comes to, our members' career paths. And for those that might be interested in technology implementation, we also ensure that they deploy the right tool and the right technology at the right time at a cost-effective budget, by making sure that the Institute supports and provide the necessary guidance for them to be able to achieve that. So being an international professional institute, this institute actually started from Nigeria. And in 2019, the international headquarters was moved to Denver, Colorado in the United States of America. And as we speak today, the institute has 9 chapters in 9 different countries. We're still working with quite a number of coordinators in other parts of the world to ensure that we're able to reach out to as many continents and countries as possible. So as we speak, IIM is in the United States of America, where we have our international headquarters. We're also in the United Kingdom. We're in United Kingdom, we're in South Africa, we're in Ghana, we're in Nigeria, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, and India. So as an international professional institute, we're proud to be affiliated and associated with quite a number of international organizations. And because of space and time, we just have a few of them being highlighted here on the screen. We've got quite a number of them that we work in with. The IRMS in the UK, which happened to be one of the foremost professional platform in the UK, they refer to the Institute of Information Management as their sister organization. That is to tell you how important they see this great institute impacting the industry globally. So as a professional institute, what are the core values? What are our core values? Our core values are standards, certification, competence, and research. So when we talk about standards, why standard? Is simply to ensure, because before the establishment of the institute in 2010, the parent body, which is the Records and Information Management Awareness Foundation, the RIMA Foundation, was able to identify quite a number of gaps in the field of information management. Even as we speak today, you all will agree with me that the kind of attention and focus that is being given to IT, it's something as compared to IM. A lot of people don't even know when you mention IM, they don't know what you're talking about. And the truth remains that without information, technology cannot, operate as expected. Without information, technology is not going anywhere. And technology being the enabler, we call IT business enabler. It's so unfortunate that globally IT is being given that much attention rather than channeling the focus on information, which actually happen to be the driver, the blood, the lifeblood of the technology, because with technology, without data is nowhere. AI we're talking about today, without data, there won't be AI. We talk about big data, we talk about machine learning. Machine would only learn by leveraging on data and so on and so forth. So as a professional institute, we believe that there is a need to ensure that every organization is able to leverage on quality data and information. And that is why we try as much as possible to create the much desired awareness around data, because having quality data will ensure that whatever decision an organization is taking, or those organizations that might want to improve the quality of their operations and services, those organizations that want to be compliant and also want to ensure that they're able to run their businesses, at a reduced cost, need quality data that they can actually leverage on. And that is why we refer to data as part of the corporate assets. This is one of the things that most organizations, even governments, are yet to come to terms with. We need to begin to see data as assets, as corporate assets. Most of the time, when you ask when you ask people in any organization for them to list out the available assets, data is one asset that you hardly even get to hear people mention as an asset. And apart from the human resources, which happen to be number one asset in any organization, the next most important assets in any organization after human is data. And if we now agree that data is an important asset to us, then it means as individuals, as organizations, as governments, we need to deliberately, recognize that as an asset, and also to ensure that we make necessary resources available for data to be able to thrive within our organization and the society as a whole, because that is only when we can actually have access to quality data for decision making and also to ensure efficiency in our operations. So now that we've agreed that data is a corporate asset, then the next thing is for us to begin to ensure that we have adequate standards in place to manage our data. And in order for us to be able to achieve that, data needs to be managed at different stages, which is what now brings us to what we refer to as the data and information life cycle. So some of us might have heard this word in the past, data and information life cycle. The life cycle is simply talking about the point at which data, information, knowledge, content is being created. That's the point of creation or the point of receipt. So what do we mean by that? What we're talking about is that if you claim to have any information or data with you, is either you are the originator or the author of that particular information, or you received it from a third party. So those are the two instances at which we can actually, have recourse to data and information. Is either you are the originator or you are receiving it from a third party. So that is the point of creation. That is the point of the data coming to life or the information coming to life. So if you create any information or you receive any information, what is the next thing for you to be able to do within your organization? It is for you to be able to identify such data or information and be able to classify it appropriately. So the next stage in the life cycle after creation is classification, which is very, very key and very, very important, because this determines a whole lot of things about that particular data and information. Once data and information is properly classified, you are able to know so many things that you expected, the expectations concerning such information. For example, that will really help to be able to assign what we refer to as retention period to such an information. And some of us are familiar with the way and manner in which document, information, and records are being managed, most especially in the public sector. Visiting some government establishments, you find different stack of documents packed, wrapped on the shelf, some in some boxes, some dumped in certain rooms, called file rooms. And you just find documents almost everywhere. And the unfortunate thing is that, if you ask why documents are being kept that way, when you ask why documents are being kept that way, they will tell you, oh, we might have need for, to access this. We might have need for, to access some of these things from time to time. But the unfortunate thing is that when it comes to actual retrieval, the way and manner in which some of these records are being stored would make them to be practically impossible for retrieval to happen. And that is what you get to see. That is what you get to see most of the time, because they just keep all these documents with no hope of any of them, to be retrieved. And that is why once information and records is being received or is being created, it is essential for us to ensure that they are properly classified, because it's the classification that will determine where they are going to be stored. And the next, talking about the life cycle will now be, after proper classification, will be to index them so that they can have unique values for easy retrieval. Then after that, they can be stored in a repository for safekeeping and future retrieval. Then we also want to ensure that adequate security is being provided for such document, for such information, and so on and so forth. Then ultimately, we want to ensure that access to such information is also limited and restricted only to authorized personnel, and that they are able to reach and access it as at when needed. So, and ultimately, going by the retention given to any of this information, the retention will determine if the information belongs to the category of information that the organization needs to retain in as much as the organization is still in operation, or at a particular point in time, the need might arise for them to destroy or even archive such information. So that is why we need standard. That is the essence of the standard. Because if you don't have standard processes in place, if you don't have certain standard specifications, procedures in place that will ensure that all of these processes I have explained are being adhered to, then you find different people within the same organization doing the same thing differently. So standard is actually out there to ensure that the total management of the data and information lifecycle is standardized, the process is standardized, and every authorized personnel within the organization are able to perform the same function the same way consistently over time. So that is the essence of standard. And as a professional institute, we want to ensure that we assist various sectors of the economy. For example, let's talk about the health sector now. If you have to take 4 different health facilities, if you have to sample them out as to how information lifecycle is being managed, I can bet that you're going to get 4 different processes which are not consistent even within those organizations. So that is where standard comes to play. As a professional institute, part of what we are doing and what we'll continue to do is to help to design and develop tailor-made standards for individual industry that would help them to be able to manage their information properly, and also assist them to meet certain requirements like compliance. We all have been hearing a lot about data protection, data privacy across the globe, and the need for organizations to comply with. So having standard in place will ensure that organization will be able to seamlessly, comply with some of this. Unfortunately, I think about a week ago, we had in the news, one of the major financial institutions in Nigeria being fined several millions of naira simply because for non-compliance with the data protection law that is now in force in Nigeria. So next is certification as our core value. This is also very important because we believe that professionals in the field of information management needs to be respected, they need to be recognized, they need to be adequately compensated for what they do. We all know how, professionals in the financial sector, the way and manner in which they are being recognized, most especially the chartered accountants, say in terms of their pay scale, in terms of their recognition in the society, in terms of, the profession generally. It's so, it's something that is juicy, and a lot of people want to go into that because they see a lot of prospects, they see a lot of opportunity in it. And the same thing is what we are out to achieve for information management. if you're a document controller, if you're an information analyst, if you're a information technician, if you're a record manager, if you're an archive manager, knowledge manager, and so on and so forth. We want to make sure that people see you and respect you for what you do, because it goes beyond just managing information and knowledge. Some of the times, even in certain organizations, when you talk to them about information management, they will tell you, is it not just about filing? Is it not about clerical functions? No. Information records and information management transcend beyond that. It's an important discipline, and it's a professional field that you cannot just, the role cannot just be assigned to just anyhow individual within the organization. Those individuals, taking up responsibilities in this particular area needs proper certification, which we believe will go a long way in promoting them and making the society to see them as professionals. So the third is competence. We want to ensure that regardless of how you find your way into the field of information management, because I can tell you categorically as I'm speaking now, that more than 65% of those that are responsible for managing the information assets in most organizations do not have their background in information management. A lot of them are from other disciplines, and somehow fate, they found themselves, performing those functions. So as a professional institute, we also want a situation where we create a platform to be able to admit them successfully into the field, and also be able to help them to build all the necessary foundation in order to enhance their competencies on the job so that they are able to deliver and also progress in their career. So the last but not the least is research and development, R&D. You agree with me that for any organization or any institution to thrive, research and development is one area that investments should be looked into. With lots and lots of innovations evolving by the day, we cannot overemphasize on the need for us to continue to invest in the area of R&D in order to ensure that we remain compliant and also up to date with the global trends, events, and happening within the industry. So these are the 4 core values at the Institute of Information Management. And in terms of approval in Nigeria, the Institute is approved by the Federal Ministry of Education. We have the consent of the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Institute of Information Management is officially registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. The same thing is applicable in other countries where we operate. And to some of us that are aware now, the Institute recently, in the month of May, became the National Certification Body for Data Protection in Nigeria, which is the same thing we're working at and also promoting in other countries where we have our chapters. So very soon you'll be hearing good news from other chapters too, about some of the experts that the Institute is really working on. So as a professional institute, what do we do? Well, we're a non-profit, non-governmental organization, and we're involved in non-profit activities. Part of it is membership, which is why some of us are here tonight. We promote membership among professionals in the field of data and information management. So in terms of our leadership, we've got leaders in different continents, different countries where we do have our chapters. On the screen, you have some of our leaders being showcased there in Canada, UK, USA, and so on. Then on the screen, we also have pictures of some of our global members in Australia, United States, in Nigeria, in United Kingdom, in Ghana, in South Africa, and so on and so forth. So when we talk about membership at the Institute of Information Management, as members, as accredited members, we need to know beyond our individual grades, we need to know and have information about other grades that exist. So we've got 7 unique membership grades, starting from the student membership that is open to a student that are still in school. The graduate membership is targeted at professionals that recently graduated with little or no professional or job experience. We also have the associate membership category, which is targeted at professionals with a minimum of 2 years of post-graduation experience. And the professional membership is for professionals with minimum of 5 years of work experience. The beauty of our membership is that it's not industry specific, it's not field specific. Regardless of what we do, regardless of the sector in which we operate and work, we all have the opportunity to belong to this great institute. Then we also have the senior professional membership grade, which is for professionals that have a minimum of 10 years of post-graduation experience. So if you, any professional in any field, in any sector, will be admitted as a senior professional member if they are able to provide a minimum of 10 years of work experience. Then we have the fellow grade, which is the highest individual membership grade at the Institute of Information Management. And the fellow grade come in two different categories. We have the professional fellow, and we also have the honorary fellow. So the professional fellow is usually the requirement is for any professional that has a minimum of 15 years of work experience and also occupy positions of authority where they work with a minimum amount of people reporting to them. Then the honorary fellowship is for dignitaries within the society. We have some existing presidents of some countries as our honorary fellows. We have past presidents, we have ministers, we have top CEOs in multinationals, we have different government officials occupying the honorary fellowship. But if you ask me, you know, what's the difference? As a professional fellow, you have the opportunity, you know, to vote and also to be voted for, meaning that as a professional fellow, you can contest elective positions at the institute. You can become the president, or you can become the president, vice president, executive, and so on and so forth as a professional fellow. Then for the honorary fellowship, they can only be nominated for advisory roles at the institute. They also have the opportunity to attend any program being organized by the institute. But for the honorary fellows, they don't pay annual dues. The professional fellows, they pay annual dues. They can vote, they can be voted for, and they can also recommend, you know, they can recommend improvements on with God's constitution, God processes. They can also recommend things, you know, and also make so many things to happen within the institute. Then the last but not the least is the corporate cadre. This is aimed at providing opportunities for corporate organizations, you know, to become part of the institutes. There are certain organizations, both public and private. In South Africa, we have the GPL. The GPL is God's provincial legislature. That is what it's called in South Africa, and they are corporate member of the institute. We have a lot of individuals also there in South Africa and other parts of the world. So the corporate membership will give an opportunity to an organization for the employees within the organization to have to benefit from some of the services, some of the opportunities being created by our great institute. So by joining the Institute of Information Management, there are lots of benefits that comes with it. We've got professional benefits, which goes to show that if you're able to showcase anywhere that you are accredited member, is an emblem of recognition for you, because people tend to respect your qualification, your experience, your expertise, and your ability to deliver on the job. So this is a way to demonstrate that to people. Then we also have business and employment opportunities. We've assisted a lot of our members to be gainfully employed, both in the public and private organizations in the oil and gas sector. And members have had organization, they've had opportunity, members have had opportunity, you know, to also showcase some of their products and services on their platform. They've been able to promote their organizations, which is part of what we do at the Institute. We want to make all our members are our responsibilities. We want to make sure that as a member of the Institute, you succeed at whatever thing that you do, whatever business that you do, whatever employment that you have. The Institute is always ready and out there to provide all the necessary support to ensure that all our members succeed at the end of the day. We have, every last Friday, we do have a platform we call the Connect Hour. This is a platform we've created to allow our members across the globe for them to be able to meet, to network, to share lessons learned, best practices, and also to share their problems with other members, because we believe the solution to somebody's problem might be with the next person beside the person, but if they don't have the opportunity to hear that out, the other person might not know that what the other person needs is actually within his or her reach. So this platform has been a wonderful opportunity. We've received lots and lots of testimonies from members on employment, on business transactions, on collaboration, on partnership, and so on and so forth. So there's also business development and marketing opportunities where members can showcase all that they've got. If you have knowledge you want to share, it's a platform to share knowledge. It's a platform where members can, you know, fraternize and do so many things together. Then in terms of international opportunities, as accredited members of our great institute, you have opportunity to attend any of the programs being organized by the Institute in any part of the world. The Institute will provide you necessary invitation and documentation, you know, to apply for your visa and join the Institute. Then we also have opportunities for members that are interested to partner with the Institute. You might have a training program, you might have certain initiative, you know, you intend to promote in the society. You can come to the Institute and say, I've got this great idea, I want to roll out and I want the Institute to be part of it. I want the Institute to provide support for me. We are ready to support you and ensure that you succeed. Then some that might be interested in becoming coordinators also. As an accredited member, members of our great institute, we've got the opportunity to also become a coordinator. It's free of charge. As a coordinator, you can work with the Institute to host programs at your locality, you know, come up with different initiatives and execute with the Institute. So also as an accredited member of the Institute, automatically, if you're interested in the professional certification, as an accredited member, you are entitled to between 15 and 25 points, depending on your membership grade. So if you are a fellow of the Institute, if you want to pursue your professional certification, you already acquire 25 points, you know, and the minimum points you need to get the lowest certification is 40 points. So as a professional member of the Institute and a fellow, you have 15 points. So meaning that you are very close to attaining your professional certification. So like I mentioned earlier on, we do have the monthly Connect hours. And apart from that, we have what we refer to as the monthly webinar and free quarterly training program. These are free professional development programs that we've actually developed for our members. It's so unfortunate that quite a large chunk of people that benefit the more from some of these quarterly training and webinars are even non-members. But some members don't create that time and opportunity for them to attend. So attending all these free programs, our members will get CPD points. Also towards their certification, they can use it. We've had situations where members will, you know, come to the Institute to come and claim their CPD points, you know, for other professional institutes they belong to, for them to get their certification renewed for them. Even at the Institute too, before you can renew your certification, you must have certain points. every year you are expected to accumulate a minimum of 20 points. So at the end of 3 years, when your certification will have expired, you are expected to provide 60 points. So a part of the activities that would hand you this is the webinar, the free quarterly training program, the conventions we organize, the inductions, and all other programs organized by the Institute are platforms where members can actually accumulate CPD points. A lot of times, members, after their induction, they feel that is the end of it. No, that is just the beginning. The fact that you've been inducted does not mean that if an induction is taking place within your environment, that you shouldn't attend. You can attend to learn best practices. It's part of your benefit as a member of the Institute. You attend to acquire CPD points. You attend also to meet new members and also to be able to take full advantage of your membership. So I'm using this opportunity to encourage our existing members and the new members. After your induction, that is just the beginning of your professional career. After the induction, make sure that you're actively involved in the Institute activities. Make sure that you're actively involved. Make sure that you participate actively. Because if we have to go by the lessons learned so far, within the Institute, a lot of members, that are thriving, that are doing very, very well, are those members that participate, when we have programs. Members that make themselves available and also ensure that, they take part in some of these activities. They take the best advantage of the platform. We've got different committees, like some of our members that introduced themselves at the beginning of this session mentioned. We've got 7 different committees and working groups. We can look at those committees that are relevant to what we do or our interest, and we join the committee. From there, you can never tell. You can become part of a national body, or you can become part of a group of people that will innovate certain things, that will be helpful to the nation and the society as a whole. And you get to write your name in gold. So those are the kind of opportunities that ordinarily might not be available to us, not until when we try to participate in some of those activities. So in order for, I believe most of us are familiar with this process. The process of joining the Institute is simply by sending our updated CV to the membership department through the membership@im-africa.org stated on the screen. Then the other activity that we're involved in is training. We provide a lot of training programs. You can actually download our training calendar. The 2024 training calendar is available on the website, where you find professional training programs, foundation training program, certification training programs, and also a list of all our activities planned for the year. So at the Institute, we release the calendar for the coming year at the end of the month of October. So by the special grace of God, before the end of next month, the calendar for 2025 will be released. So I'm using this opportunity to invite us all to be actively involved. So we also provide certification programs. And at the Institute of Information Management, we have 2 categories of certifications. We have the professional certification and we have the general certification. The professional certification has 10 majors. When we talk about majors, we talk about the particular discipline in which we are interested in getting our master certification, because we provide professional masters in some of this field: archives management, data management, database, document management, geographic information system, health information management, information security, knowledge management, library management, and records and information management. Those are the professional certification that we have got. Then we have the general certification, which started in 2015. This particular certification is for everybody in any organization, from the maintenance staff, from the cleaning, from security. The GIMC certification is ideal for them to be able to understand their roles and responsibilities when it comes to managing information and data they come across in the course of their employment activities. Because most of the time, organizations don't see the need for them to train their employees, most especially those that are in the lower cadre, because they do not see value in training them. But the unfortunate thing is that some of these employees, in the course of their activities, they do come across certain important and confidential documentation. And if they are not properly informed, if they are not properly enlightened on the steps to be taken when they accidentally, come in contact with some of this information, such information could jeopardize the interest of the organization. They might even share with people they are not supposed to share with. But if organization is able to put them through, create the necessary awareness, even through this GIMC certification, they're able to know that if they accidentally come across certain information, they should report it to certain persons or departments within the organization. So this is part of this GIMC certification in promoting awareness about data and information across the organization. So it will also help all employees within the organizations to understand, what information management, what data management is all about, and the particular role they have to play within the ecosystem. So when we talk about the roles, we talk about in the area of creation, storage, usage, sharing, and disposition of this information. So awareness is very, very key. It's very, very important. In fact, as at the time the GIMC program was rolled out by the Institute, data privacy and protection had not even become as prominent as it is today. So it's about education, on how to manage both even their personal data and those data and information that belong to the organizations, the partners that the organization work with, and other stakeholders that they interface with. So ultimately, GIMC is very, very good. It's very, very important to help organizations to be able to imbibe global best practices, and also to help them to mitigate information risk on how sensitive data and information is managed within the organization. So beyond paying fines, like the scenario I explained earlier on about the bank that has been made to pay millions of naira in Nigeria now, beyond that, you talk about the reputational damage this is going to bring upon that organization, because there's no amount of fine that they pay. The reputational damage is something that money cannot even help them to recover from. So we don't want a situation where our organization would, be caught in the web. So the GIMC certification is about education and certification of employees, on data and information management and their roles. Then how do you attain this? We have two different ways of attaining this certification. The truth of the matter is for non-personnel that are not personnel within the organization that are not directly responsible for managing data and information, they only get certificates of participation, which is also renewable after 3 years. Then for those that are directly responsible or those that interfaces with data directly, personal data and other important data within the organization, they are also going to get the certificate of attendance and also write an exam. So if they pass the examination, then they get a professional certification, a professional GIMC certification, which is also renewable after 3 years, showing that they know and understood their roles and responsibility in ensuring that whatever information they come across in the course of carrying out their day-to-day activities, they're able to protect those data and information adequately. So earlier on, I mentioned about the professional certification. For the professional certification, it comes in 4 different levels. We have the first level, which is the IMP levels. The first 3 levels are the IMP levels. IMP is acronym for Information Management Professional. So we have the IMP1, IMP2, and IMP3. So at each level, they are expected to complete 5 courses, 5 subjects. So at the end of IMP3, the candidates will have completed a total of 15 courses. Then at the master level, like I mentioned earlier on, we have 10 majors. We call them majors, 10 majors. The archive management, a candidate after passing IMP3 may decide, to go for the archive management, data management, database, and so on. And these are the badges they are going to earn at the end of it. I also forgot to mention earlier on, the moment you have been inducted into any of the IIM membership grades, you've actually added a feather to your hat, which means that at the back of your name, you can always put that acronym. We've got acronym for different membership category. For those of us that are fellows, you put the FIIM at the back of your name, which depicts the fact that you are an accredited member of our great institute. And like I always say, if you want to test the efficacy of the FIIM, for those of us that are on LinkedIn, open your LinkedIn page, go to where you have the search box there. I don't type anybody's name, just type FIIM there. And you get to see a lot of our members across the globe that are already fellows of this great institute. So you also have the opportunity to update your profile on your social media platform by adding, if you're a senior professional, it's SPMIIMU. Put it at the back of your name. Then if you're able to pass any of the certification examination, you also have this to add to it. If you've passed the IMP stages, for example, if you pass the IMP1 stage, after putting FIIM, then comma, you put IMP1. Then if you've passed IMP2, you can put IMP2. If you pass IMP3, you put IMP3. Then, because even if you put IMP3, it means you have passed IMP1 and 2. Then after passing, the master certification examination, then you can use any of this designation that is directly applicable to your achievement, your professional achievement. If it is about data management, you put FIIM, CDMP. So meaning that you have passed IMP1, IMP2, IMP3 for you to have attained CDMP, because you have to pass IMP1 before you can proceed to IMP2. You have to pass IMP2 before you can proceed to IMP3, and you have to pass IMP3 before you can proceed to the master grade. So I have good news for those of us that are accredited members of our great institute. Over time, and as a result of some of the gaps that we identified, the Institute's Committee on Education came up with an initiative to make certification, is not to water it down, but also to encourage senior professionals in the field who have contributed in one way or the other, or have been practicing for a number of times. So like I mentioned earlier on, that being a member of the Institute automatically qualifies you for certain points, which I said is between 15 and 25. So under the point-based education program means that as a candidate, you have the opportunity to be evaluated without necessarily writing any examination, based on whatever knowledge that you've been able to acquire over the years in the particular field where you operate. So the point-based certification pathway is a way that your knowledge and academic achievement, professional achievements will be evaluated and ultimately will be graded. Certain points will be allocated for your qualification, for your experience, and for your membership at the Institute. Then based on that, depending on the points that you're able to attain at the end of the day, That is what determines the level that you're actually going to be awarded from IMP1, IMP2, IMP3, and the master certification. So this is a point-based program that you only need to submit an EOI, expression of interest, by sending your updated CV to the certification department. And the certification committee would evaluate and also assign and approve certain points, which determines where you are going to be placed. So what it means is that if after your evaluation, you are given a point that qualifies you for IMP3, for example, what it means is that you have attained that IMP3 after fulfilling other requirements that will be forwarded to you. That IMP3 would be for 3 years. So after 3 years, you have the opportunity of stepping up. You have the opportunity of stepping up to the master level. You can take examination at that point, or you can accumulate the total of the 60 points I mentioned earlier on. So if you have 60 points, you can actually apply to upgrade to a master certification without necessarily writing an examination. So you have to be able to provide evidence of the CPD points within the 3 years after your IMP3. If you are graded IMP1, you also need to provide 60 points for you to upgrade to IMP2, or you write the exam. If you don't have CPD points to provide, then it's a must for you at that point to write the exam for you to be able to move to the next level. So to qualify at all for any of the certification, a candidate must have a minimum of 2 years of relevant professional experience in the particular major they are applying for. If a candidate is applying for Health Information Management Master Certification, they must have minimum of 2 years of relevant experience in that field. Then all points claimed for education must be from IIM recognized institution of learning. So like I mentioned earlier on, the minimum points that the candidate needs to attain to be able to get any certification at all is 40. So having 40 points means the particular candidate is qualified to attain IMP1. So it means that apart from your membership achievements, your accredited membership, you also have IMP1 certification. So such candidates, in a situation where a candidate is unable to make up to 40 points, the department will advise such candidates to take certain courses to be able to earn some CPD points to make up the 40 points or more. So these are the points, and this is how it is being graded. To be graded, you are going to be, a given candidate will be evaluated based on their membership. I mentioned it that for being an accredited member of the Institute, you have opportunity between 15 and 25. So the maximum points is 25 points for fellows. I think senior professional is 20 points, and so on and so forth for other grades. Then we're also going to be looking at your professional experience and your skill. So if you have up to 15 years, and definitely as a fellow, you have up to 15 years of experience, you're also going to earn a total of 25 points again, making 50 points. So you already have 50 points in your kitty. If you are a fellow of the Institute, you have 50 points going to the second stage. Then in terms of education and training, if you have masters, you also have a maximum points of 25. If you have first degree, I think that is about 20 points. Then the particular major that you have chosen, for example, if your major is Health Information Management and you've had certain certification in the past, you can also present evidence of such. Then if it is directly relevant to your major, you can earn up to 25 points. But if it's not directly related, or maybe in some parts, then the evaluating officer will determine the appropriate points based on the curriculum of the particular certification that you have already attained. So by the time they add all together, they determine your total points. So like I mentioned, the minimum point is 40. So any candidate after evaluation that has 40 points or 49.9, between 40 and 49.9 will be qualified as, under the IMP1. Then from 50 to 69.9 IMP2, 70 to 89.9 IMP3. Then any candidate that has from 90 points upward will be qualified directly for the master certification. We've had quite a number of people, that have attained that. There is no big deal about achieving that. But the most important thing is after attaining it, after 3 years, you have to be able to prove that within the 3 years, you've been able to acquire, CPD points, because CPD is continuous professional development, which means that you've been involved in professional practice, professional activities like publishing, even facilitating training programs. You get certain points. Attending training programs, you get it. Even some programs that are not even organized by the institute, but they are relevant to your career, we also recognize them and we also give you points for doing that. So the certification is usually being awarded at our international headquarters in Denver, Colorado. And in order to take advantage of this, we need to send updated CV to certification-iimafrica.org. So when we talk about information management generally, for those of us that are not, what we do might not really directly involve managing data and information, I want you to know that there are lots of organizations, individuals, and governments that are faced with challenges with having access to the required information at different times. A lot of them, they need help. They don't know who to turn to. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know who to approach to come and help them out. So this institute is created to ensure that we assist any business, any individual, any government to attain efficiency and effectiveness in whatever services that they are providing. So we also help them to reduce the cost of operations, by increasing their profit through effective information management, and also assist them morally, ethically, and legally to be able to prove to the stakeholders within their industry where they operate that they are responsible in terms of managing their data and information. They are responsible in meeting their needs, their business needs. They are responsible in ensuring that they maintain a seamless working relationship with them. So service, profits, and social responsibilities are one of the key benefit that the society has actually got, to benefit from information management. And most of the time, it's not just about having access to information; it's having access to that information that is timely. Because sometimes when information is not provided as at when needed, the essence of having the information would have been defeated. So it's important for us to be able to access information in a timely manner when needed. And it's not just getting anyhow kind of information. You want to make sure that the information you're getting is accurate, is complete, is cost-effective, and the information is usable and accessible. Because a lot of times, like the scenario I mentioned at the beginning of this session, you find people stacking up documents, tying them, putting them on the shelf, under the basement, at the corridor, every other places. At the end of the day, this information are not accessible. They are not usable. So what is the essence? So better information, better data at the right time will ensure that you make better business decisions, to ensure that your business is able to scale up, to ensure that your business is competitive and you're able to deliver, on the purpose for which the organization has been set up. Then your ability to be able to also control the data and information that is being generated within your organization is also why we need proper information governance, information management within our organization. The advent of technology today has brought about lots and lots of challenges side by side with a lot of opportunities. Because with technology now, we can generate under a few seconds, you can generate lots and lots of information. And at the end of the day, you find out that you are faced with what we refer to as information overload. And the moment you attain that, it becomes confusing, frustrating, challenging to manage all of these things. But with effective information management, effective information governance, you'll be able to be in control. So you will always want to ensure that you are in control of the information that you create, the information you receive, the information that you use. Then you can be able to take full advantage of it. It's just like driving a car that does not have a brake. You know, that is a car that is heading for the rock. So if you don't have control over the information that you have on your phone, the information you have within your organization, then that is a huge risk. We refer to it as IR, information risk. And this is one risk that is prominent now across the globe. IR is very, very prominent now. You get to find some personal data, personal information flying on the internet, some confidential, highly confidential government documents, government information that shouldn't be out there. You find them flying around on social media, on the internet, and even people that are not supposed to have access to them are having access simply because there hasn't been proper governance of information within those organizations. So we want to be in control. And the only way you can be in control is by making sure that you're able to manage information appropriately. Then the only set of people that are not exposed to this risk are those categories of people that do not in any way connected to the information superhighway, which is the internet. So if you are using a phone, if you have a phone, if you have any device that is connected to the internet, you 100% you are exposed to information risk. And your ability to be able to mitigate this is when you have knowledge, you have the skills, you have the awareness to be able to control what you receive, to be able to control what you create, to be able to control what you put out there. Because the moment information leaves your immediate control, it means you don't have control over it again. There's nothing you can do. Once it gets into the public domain, there is nothing you can do. And we don't want a situation where our reputation will be affected in any way, or it will affect the image we've been creating for ourselves, our organization, and other entities that we interface and we relate with. So we also talk about, improving productivity and efficiency within the organization. Information management would help to achieve this. Why we're having this session is, by the time you say you are an accredited member of our great institute, and people are asking, what's the institute all about? What is even this information management that you are talking about? All these are all the information you need to give to them that would add value to them, to whatever thing that they do. So organization will be able to promote productivity and efficiency. They are going to be able to, know how to align their business processes with emerging technology, with the trend, with the flow of innovation within the field. All of these opportunities are what they'll be able to leverage on. And in a world that is, the regulations, compliance is becoming the order of the day now. Every organization wants to make sure that they are in compliance with some of the laws and the regulations that governs the environment in which they run their businesses. They can't afford to do away with information management. For you to be able to achieve that, you need information management. Then if you also want to reduce your exposure to litigations, information management is very key. A lot of times, there might be need for you to provide certain evidences to defend yourself, to defend your organization, your society, or your institutions. So proper information governance will help you to achieve this. Then you also, as a professional in the field, with your knowledge, with your exposure, and access to tools and technologies, you'll be able to identify among all the various information types that you have in your organization, those ones we refer to as VI, the vital information. Vital information are those information that if anything should happen to them, it could lead to the end of the business. It could lead to the end of that organization. And that is how important they are. Like I always explain, if you're talking about For example, let's say you have a skyscraper, a building, a skyscraper, for example. When you look at the skyscraper, you say, oh, this is an asset. What makes the skyscraper an asset is not the physical structure you are looking at from the external point where you are. It is actually the documentation. Because if the documentation of that skyscraper, if it gets into the hand of the wrong person, they can sell it off and the ownership will just change overnight. And that's to tell you that the asset itself is not even the physical, the asset itself is not even the physical, what's it called? It's not the physical building that you're seeing, but it's actually the value is in the documentation. So it depends on how well you're able to protect the documentation that would help you to be able to, sorry, I think I'm sharing. So it is not really about the physical asset itself, but the documentation about that particular facility. It is the documentation of that particular facility that will determine the value. And most of the time, when people complain that they're having issues, they're having challenges in convincing their management to provide budgets to manage, either it could be their repository, to manage the repository, or even to provide certain tools, to properly manage their information. The easiest way to convince a management to be able to do that is by ensuring that you're able to articulate the value. You're able to articulate the value of those, the values of those information assets that you have. The moment you're able to articulate the value, you are going to be able to convince your management for them to be able to see the need for them to provide the budget that you're actually asking them to give you. Because if they don't see value in what you're doing, there is no way they will be convinced that whatever investments they are going to bring on board, they are going to get a return on it. And most of the time, these are some of the challenges that professionals in our field that they face. They will tell you that our organization doesn't have budget for information management. As a result, we can't leverage on, we cannot benefit from training, we can't benefit on training, we can't do so many things. We don't even have certain tools that we require to be able to carry out our day-to-day activities. And those are some of the things that every organization needs to really pay attention to. So also we talk about preserving, making better decisions. I've spoken extensively on that. Then corporate memory preservation. This is very important. It is when you have quality information management system that you're able to preserve your memory. There was one so unpleasant, information that one of our honorary fellows shared with me in the year 2004 at the Lagos Sheraton when we were having the maiden induction ceremony. He was one of a prominent king in Nigeria, and he told me that while he was working at the National Television Authority, that some of the important videos of some of the soap operas that we used to watch back in the 80s and late 80s, that some of them were dumped in the lagoon. And, I was so worried that, if at that level we are not preserving our corporate memories, what will the coming generation leverage on? What will they get to access in terms of history and how things have evolved over time? So it also helps to foster professionalism in carrying out whatever thing that we do. Information management will help to portray us, to our clients, to our employer, to people that we interface with as professionals, because we'll be doing things professionally and ultimately we'll be able to reduce costs for our organization. So that is the end of this first slide. I also have another slide that I'm going to run through, which is still talking about this great institute called the Institute of Information Management. And we're going to be looking at, I'm not going to waste our time. We're going to look at a few other activities and benefits, at our great institute, the Institute of Information Management. And we're going to be looking at this orientation that we're doing now, some of the activities that we need to introduce to our wonderful and esteemed members that are joining us, some historical information about the Institute, the structure at the Institute, and some of the benefits and privileges, some of our codes and ethics that we need to look at. So we've talked about the importance of information management. Now, I've told you the several benefits to us as individuals, as organizations, as a society, as government, and some key principles and practice in the field of information management. Our roles, the role of IM in various sectors. I've also spoken extensively about that. Then we talk about emerging technology in the field. There are lots of tools, there are lots of softwares and applications, as professionals that we can actually take advantage of. Then current challenges and opportunities in the field. I've also spoken extensively about that. Recognition is one thing. It's something that's very, very important, which is a huge challenge to us. We want IM to match IT. If any organization is talking about information technology, they should also be talking about information management, because it is actually the information that is going to flow through the technology that they are spending on. Then there are lots of opportunities that I've also mentioned in the field, and even as members of our great institutes. So at the institutes, I mentioned the fact that we have different committees that we can join. We have publication committees, we have research and development, we have so many resources that as members of this great institute, we can leverage and take advantage of. We've got a lot of educational and training programs that you can also take advantage of. And like I mentioned in the previous slide, we have a lot of free programs, we have paid programs. And when our members are attending paid programs, they don't get to pay the same amount that non-members would pay. And like I also mentioned, for the free programs, members are also entitled to free certificates. Non-members will pay to get any certificates at any particular program being run by the Institute. We have a lot of networking opportunity. We have lots of events that I've mentioned locally and internationally that we can attend. I also mentioned about our certification programs. I talked about general certification. I talked about the professional certification. Then our continuing education options, the CPD I mentioned earlier on. You can attain CPD points, attending even this orientation program that you have attended this evening. You can get a certificate for it if you are interested. You only need to send email to the training departments. As a member, you can get a certificate of attendance. You can also record your CPD points, because depending on the number of time that is spent on this, if we spend 1 hour, 1 hour is usually equals to 1 CPD point. So if it's 2 hours, you get 2 CPD points for attending this program. And everything is automated. If you are requesting for CPD points, the team will look at the number of times you spent on this presentation, because we have, there's an audit trail that will give us the total length of time that you actually dedicated to this session. So if you are able to meet up with up to 1 hour at least, you can get 1 CPD point for that. Then we also have a lot of opportunity for mentorship and career development for our members. Some that might want to change career, some might want to go into tech, maybe they are in a business line or arts or whatever. You want to go into tech, we have opportunity for mentorship and career development. We provide a lot of resources for them to be able to take advantage of that. Then we also provide hands-on exercises, opportunities, and tools that they can leverage on. Then we have different group where you can discuss different issues, different topics, different events, happenings, you know, as it affects the industry, as it affects your field, as it affects your career, and personally also. Then question and answer with industry experts and senior members of the institute. If you are faced with any challenge or you want to deploy any solution, you want to go into any project, the institute has, you know, has got your back. Then the next step for new members is to join committees. I mentioned it earlier on. Join committees. Make sure that anytime you see any post on the group, a lot of people are fond of ignoring posts. And at the end of the day, they will come and say, oh, I did not take notes when the institute actually, you know, put this out there. So anytime we see any post coming from the institute, let's dedicate a few seconds to even take a look at them and see how we can take advantage of this. Because if we don't take advantage, where all these opportunities are being created for members by the institute, and we're working in-house and also working with the membership committee, you know, to ensure that we bring in more values, you know, to our membership across the globe. Then we have opportunities. If you have any information, like I said earlier on, this is no longer their institute. It is now your institute. If you are an accredited member of this institute, you are you are part owner of this institute. You are a key stakeholder as an accredited member. You can suggest anything, you can comment on anything, you can belong to anything, you can join any of the committees and the projects that we have. The National Education Project team, they've been doing a wonderful job since we started. This team consists of accredited members of the Institute. And we also have another national project that has not been released into the public now. This is another big thing too that is coming up. And at the appropriate time, we are going to announce it. Some of us, even on this particular call, are members of those that particular project team. And that team is still open to more members, you know, that might be interested to contribute. It's not just joining a committee and for joining sake. It's joining a committee and ensuring that your impact is felt. Because a lot of times you find people joining committees simply because they want to add it on their CV or they want to use it as part of, you know, promotion at their workplaces and so on. But joining and also contributing your quota, there's no way you are going to contribute that contribution will not come back to you in a better form. We have reward programs and plans. We recognize our members a lot. We don't take your contribution for granted at all. For anything you are contributing to the Institute, we always acknowledge it, we always appreciate it, and we always reward it. So every year we have our awards program where we honor our members. We believe that any opportunity that is coming, our members should be forced to take advantage of those opportunities. And if we are out to promote anybody at all, is to promote our members, we put them up on the stage for the whole world to see, you know, what they have in terms of value to add. We promote them, we support them, and we ensure that, you know, they are able to thrive in an environment that is not toxic, an environment that is friendly, an environment that is encouraging, environment that is pleasing, an environment that gives them that opportunity to succeed. So from time to time, we always look forward to your contribution in terms of giving us feedback on certain things, on your observation, or certain things or initiatives you might want the Institute to, you know, work on and leverage on. So networking and, you know, session, we have different kinds of sessions, some online, some physical. We provide refreshments, we provide, you know, so many things that will make it interesting for us to be part of. So new members, on this note, I want to welcome you to the IIM family. We call it the IIM Africa family. You are now part of our family. We are concerned about you. We are concerned about your progress. We are concerned about your well-being. So as new members, you have opportunity to connect with other existing members, fraternize with them, connect with them, and make the best of this opportunity. So on that note, I want to say very big thank you. I want to say a very big thank you to each and every one of us, to have been able to stay all through this presentation. And as we proceed within this session, we have opportunities for questions, for comment, for contribution. Even some of us that have testimonies, we can, share our testimonies with those that are just coming on board so that they hear it directly from you, that becoming a member of this institute, it's not just like any other institution that they might have belonged to. A lot of times we receive a lot of feedbacks from our members. They will tell you, oh, I've belonged to this institute or this other institute in the past, and IIM is just different. And I believe that is going to be your experience too. So on that note, I want to say a very big thank you, and do have a wonderful evening. Do we still have our moderator in the house? So if you have questions, please unmute and or comment.
Thank you, Mr. President, for a wonderful presentation.
The pleasure is mine, sir.
Can you hear me? The Lord will strengthen you. It's a beautiful presentation.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir.
So do we have any question from the new members? We also have opportunity for goodwill messages from existing members to those that are just joining us. Like we always say, it's not really, induction is not really, like most times people would say they cannot join, they want to wait till when certain induction will be happening within their environment before they can join. Induction is just like the normal matriculations you have at various institutions to welcoming new members on board. But the very day that a prospective member is able to meet up with the membership requirement, that is the day you become an accredited member. And also, at that particular point in time, you start to benefit and take advantage of all the membership benefits. You don't need to wait till when induction will be coming up before you join. If a prospective member joins today and is able to complete the registration, that person becomes accredited on the very first day that they're able to meet all the membership requirements. So that is how it works. Do we have questions, comments, or contribution?
Mr. President, sir, please, I have contribution, sir.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Once again, I say good evening, Mr. President. That was a highly insightful presentation. Even though I've been under your tutelage since I joined IIM, I must confess that I have also learned new things even today. As I said earlier on, that if one says you know everything, then you are deceiving yourself, because what you learned 5 years ago, if they want to introduce that same topic now, after 4 or 5 years, you know there will be new dimension to it. So, sir, that presentation was just excellent. And I want to continue to thank you for the great leader you are. Your leadership is highly motivational and transformational. You carry us along in all the programs and activities of IIM. Not only that, you create in us sense of belonging to the extent that those of us that have lost confidence in ourselves, coming to IIM, we are able to rediscover ourselves and started on a new note, and we are excelling. Like me, I'm a case study towards that. It was when I joined IIM that I was able to really actually rediscover myself. I want to encourage the newly, those that are yet to be inducted and also existing members, that if you want to enjoy IIM, please don't be a bench warmer. Whatever they are doing, just try to support and join in doing it. Like all the various committees that have been mentioned, look for the one that is related to your field. Join the committee and you will see what you will benefit from it. Like me, as I'm talking, as I introduced myself earlier, I was the immediate past vice president of the institute, and I'm presently the chairman of the IIM Education Committee. And if I open my mouth to tell you what we have achieved within this shortest time that we started, you will not believe it. So, brothers and sisters, professional colleagues, I want to encourage you not to be a bench warmer, be active. Because IIM itself is like an echo. In fact, it's an echo. Because that's the way I see it. I'm talking from experience. IIM is an echo. It is whatever you give to it that you will gain in return. And not that you will gain the little you give. Whatever you give, you will gain it in multiple folds. Just like the Bible says, give and it shall be given unto us, group measure, pressed down, shaken together. Shall the men give to your, to your bosom, for the whatever you give, that will be given back unto you. So in IIM, whatever you give, you will get it back in multiple folds. Is it through networking? Is it through connection? You will be well connected. People in your field, you will be well connected. You will learn even new things that will increase your productivity, as it has been said. So I want to encourage us, especially the new members, that you have come to the right place. And if you are active, you will enjoy this place called IIM. You will enjoy it. So I wish you all the best. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that words of encouragement. We have Lindelwa. Please kindly unmute and let's have your comments or question.
No, thank you very much. Great presentation. There was a request on chat whether the presentation can be shared because I think it's a lot of very valuable information, but I think we will need time to go through it again, especially those of us who want to join. It would be nice to go through it step by step. So that's one request I would like to make. I know when you were in South Africa, you were going to engage with some of our regulatory institutions. I'm just interested to know whether the qualifications are accredited in South Africa. In South Africa, there is something that is called South African Qualifications SAQA Association. Is there a move towards getting these qualifications accredited? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I believe when I started to this presentation, I mentioned I'm not too sure whether I was here, I mentioned it. Because as we speak, where talk is still ongoing with some major agencies in South Africa. And I think we're making very good progress at that, and making sure and ensuring that all our qualifications are being recognized also by the South African government. Apart from the fact that the government already recognizes us, the institute is duly and adequately registered in South Africa, and some other requirements as we identify the various sector of the economy as it applies to. Because there are even certain areas that a lot of us, even in the information management space, are not even aware of, that we are currently working on. And hopefully before the end of this year, you get to hear a lot about some of the groundwork we're doing in South Africa by the time it begins to, to materialize. But in terms of any qualification, any documentation that you get from the Institute of Information Management, beyond South Africa, we are recognized globally. The Institute is recognized globally across the globe. We have a lot of testimonies. We have a lot of evidences to show for that. We have a lot of our members that have relocated from one country to the other, leveraging on the recommendation they received from the Institute of Information Management as we speak. We have a lot of them that have been promoted. These are some of the recognition that we've got globally. And we're always working and ready to localize some of these things so that in other clients too, they get to know about what we are doing, what we're offering, the quality and the standards that we bring to the field. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, that we're the premier institute. You can do your research, you can do your search in the field of data and information management globally. We only try to be conservative by saying in Africa, but even across the globe, even in the US and the UK, everywhere, IIM is a recognized professional institute. And you can be rest assured that your membership is a testament to something that is globally accepted.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the recording, the sharing of the recording?
Yeah, sorry?
Is it going to be possible?
Okay, to get the recording, we're actually going to upload it. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. I will share okay, I'm giving you my word. We're going to share the slides, and the slides, we'll share the slides and the recording to all the participants. Yeah. Because before getting on this platform, you must have provided your email. So via that email, you're going to get a link where you're going to be able to download some of these materials. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Hello. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. We can hear
Hello.
you.
Okay. Good evening.
I think your network, it's somehow unstable. Hello, madam, are you still there? Hello? Okay, I think network is not stable for now. Do we have any other question or comments before we draw the curtain? I think, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. I like a lot. Yes. Yeah, somebody is asking, like I mentioned, we're going to ensure that you have access to the materials, both the slides and the video. Before Monday, you can be before the before close of business on Monday, I assure you that you're going to get the link to the materials, or the appropriate department would forward to you. So on that note, it's unfortunate we can't, Madam Judith is unable to ask a question or make a comment due to network issue. Okay, I can see one hands up. I have Bob here. Bob, please, can you unmute and let's have your comments or question? Kindly unmute. Kindly unmute. Bob, are you there? Okay, if Bob cannot hear me, we also have...
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening. How are you today?
I'm here. Fine, thank you, Doc. Good evening to you, Doc, and good evening to every one person that is here participating in this session. I just want to put a voice to what has been going on here, and I want to say to encourage all inactive members to be active. I was once an active member and once also an inactive member. But I took it upon myself and I said that this year I'm going to be active and I'm going to follow up with most of the webinars and so forth. And I know how gainful it has been for me. The beauty of IIM is that it is not tied to just a monotonous profession. IIM spreads across every nook and cranny as long as information is shared in the various information channels. I want to also let everyone here know that through IIM, I was able to secure a 10 years Canadian visa, and I was live at the IIM session that took place at the City of Toronto Archives. And it was a very insightful session, and they were happy to see us come down to their workplace, and a lot of knowledge were shared there, both internally and externally. So I want to encourage everyone, non-inactive members, to ensure that they are active, because our funds and our finances are needed for IIM to run effectively and make good opportunities for everybody. IIM, in my own understanding, is known within the states that they operate as an institute of integrity. And so if you're using the name of IIM to write to any nation for them to grant you visa, it is an express walkover, I can say that. So I'm encouraging every one of us to ensure that we make our own team grow, and it is in our hands. I want to commend Doc very, very specially. I have known you, Doc, for over 8 years when I first joined IIM, and I want to thank you for not delisting me for the 4 years plus period that I was not paying my dues. And then I promise that whether I'm in or outside Nigeria, I will continue to pay my dues. And I encourage every one person to take cue so that we can make our own growth for us and then also be part of the benefits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for your support during the Toronto convention. Thank you, thank you. You highly appreciated. So,
thank you, sir.
I can say another answer of Basi Anite. Please kindly unmute and let's have your contribution.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
I'm so delightful to be, I'm so delightful to be in the meeting this evening. Sorry, I couldn't introduce myself before. I wanted to do so very much for the president. I work with the National Bureau of Statistics. I'm a chief admin officer there and also a field officer, data officer. So although I will have been in Toronto, but unfortunately, we were not granted a visa, me and my wife, because we are all members. We're supposed to be inducted there. So I don't know if the induction, we can move to Abuja induction so that we can be inducted to be a member of the institute. So I want to know whether that would be possible. And also, I didn't know what really happened that we were not giving the visa with the letter from the institute that we presented to the embassy of Canadian embassy. There was no visa given to us. Even up to now, at the moment we are talking, we are still expecting the visa, but nothing comes up to now. So I don't know whether institute will be able to forward the names of those that are going to be inducted or going to for the program to the embassy so that they will work well with it and so that everybody will benefit from it. I really enjoy your presentation this evening. We are the custodians. My institute is a custodian of data in Nigeria. But what you presented is that I'm going to take it up from here and also introduce it to some of the members of my institute so that they can also come to join the institute. I'm so happy this evening. I've not been able to express myself very well like this, but the core value of the institute really make me to stand up, just like Bob said. I have been a dormant member since I joined the institute early this year. But now, I'm going to take the challenge upon me. I know what data is. Data is life. So thank you very much, sir, for bringing this to us.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution. First and foremost, I would want to say the fact that delay is not denial. The fact that you've not gotten a response from the embassy does not mean you have been refused. One thing that I always like to encourage our members about talking about visa processing is for us to ensure that we're able to start the process early enough, because not everybody that will be fortunate like my brother Bob. Bob, I think Bob submitted within 3 months and he got his visa. I'm not. Bob, please, how long did it take you to do?
It took 1 month and 2 weeks, but I did the process like 3 months ahead of the conference.
So, like I mentioned, delay is not denial, sir. The fact that you were not able to attend this year does not mean next year you're not going to attend. So whenever your visa is being granted, you still have the opportunity, based on your registration and every other thing, to participate in 2025. Then talking about your request to be inducted in Abuja, definitely if you want to have it before that time. You know, I mentioned the fact that it's not really about you being inducted, it's about you being accredited. And being an accredited member of our great institutes, you have opportunity and access to all the benefits. So if you want to have the induction in Abuja, just simply send a mail to the membership department. I believe they are listening to you as we're communicating here. So they can also schedule you to have the induction in Abuja. Then by next year, your visa will have been out by then. I also believe that you have enough a period left on your passports, because the length of time you have on your passport will also determine the length of the visa duration that is going to be given to you. So based on that, you have access to attend the 2025 edition by the special grace of God. So thank you very much for being part of our great institute. I'm also happy to mention that former DG of your organization Mr. Simon of blessed memory. He was also a fellow of our great institute. And I think before the sad incidents, he was invited as a guest speaker at our 2022 Lagos Annual Conference. He was ably represented by one of the directors at the National Bureau of Statistics. So we are indeed glad to have you on board, sir. So do we have any other question, any other comments before we call it a day? The last exercise here will be we're going to be having group photograph for those that are able to activate their cameras. If you can turn on your camera, we'd like to have group photograph. Give us the privilege of seeing the faces. Okay. Oh, somebody is still raising. Mr. Benjamin Yari. I can see your hands up. Kindly unmute and let's have your comments while others are activating their cameras.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. President. I wanted to confirm, I think last week or so, I applied or requested to be a member of one of the working committee. However, I'm yet to receive an acknowledgement or a feedback. I'm not sure whether they got my email or if ordinarily I'm not expected to receive any acknowledgement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Which of the emails did you forward your request to, sir?
I sent it to committee email.
Okay, good. Because sometimes,
yes, sir.
You know what happens with technology. Sometimes it doesn't get delivered. But personally, I will do a follow-up on Monday on that to ascertain if they actually got that email. If yes, then you can be rest assured that within the next, before the close of business on Monday, you'll be contacted and also added to the relevant committee you have applied to join.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sir.
You're welcome, sir. So we're taking, Mr. Nago, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm actually on transit. That's why I've been quiet. I'm going to be the way. Okay. But I can put it on. You can put it on this.
Okay, in
all
case.
Right. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can speak. So I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President, for your presentation. As always, it has been very insightful and a learning curve. I appreciate everything that we have been going through in the Institute. However, I would also want to use the opportunity to announce again continuously about our national certification that was awarded to the Institute. Encourage members to start preparing themselves for the examinations, right? Because we are currently having down the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. So for our existing members and new members, we urge you that please kindly join the committees, dedicate your time, because when you volunteer like the president has been doing for years, we all came in to join the president, keen into the vision, and that is why we are members. So I will plead that we join the various committees, add more value to ensure we begin to take this to the greater height. As we know, we have the International University of Information Management, which is also an outshot from the Institute. It's a great one for us, and I encourage us, please continue to promote our national certification for privacy and data protection, which we were licensed by the National Commissioner. Please, we urge every committee members and all those personnel that show interest. If you're having challenges, it's easy to reach out to the Institute office, Abuja or Lagos, Also, I want to appreciate our able Educational Committee Chairman who is here, Dr. Mrs. President Ulade that was here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am,
you,
for
sir.
your effort with your committee. And please, we want to encourage every other committee members to please always reach out. We have a lot of things we can do to take it forward. We are doing, not we can do, that we are doing. And we're encouraged that from all what the president have told us, a lot of things are happening. And there are more we can give to the various publics. There are more we can give to the government. And that the license is a testament to that. And again, we want to ensure that the various, especially the standard committee, the research committee, also certification committee, that we are up and running in a way that we can ensure our processes has gotten to the level that we want it to mature to. Having gone celebrated over 10 years as an institute, now we have matured. So the next thing is for members to show their consistency and volunteer to add more value, because we're almost there, because the president have said the president, we need to follow and keep the vision to ensure we get what we want. Also, we are having international accreditation on some of our courses, because as you know, there's a university, and also we want to ensure that professional certifications are can compete anywhere in the world, because we have over 7 to 8 chapters outside Nigeria. So we're saying we need more members that can work on the accreditation, both for Nigeria and also in Canada. So please, I appreciate what the president has always been doing. He tried to put us on our toes, and I appreciate that sacrifice. So please, I'm pleading we need more members from the various committees so that we can show to the president that yes, that he can actually delegate these tasks and we can deliver. So thank you so much, Mr. President, for your time. It has been a pleasure to learn from you at one time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nago. You highly appreciated. Thanks for always being there for the Institute. Mrs. Friday, I can see you're online. We'd like to hear from you before we call it a day, if it's possible from your side.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma.
Nice to be here again to hear from our very president. Thank you, sir, for another wonderful presentation. Just like the chairman of the Educational Committee has said, there is no time you listen that you don't learn something new, regardless of how long you've been in the Institute. I want to lend my voice to the previous speakers to encourage everyone here to be part of this moving train, because the Institute is going to higher heights. The best is just beginning here. And the earlier we key into all these excellent opportunities, the better for us. So I wish us all the best. Mr. President, thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, always. Mr. Adeyinka Ademola Ogunleye, I can see you're raising your hand. Kindly unmute and let's hear from you before.
Good evening, everyone, and special greetings to you, Mr. President. Actually, my attention just being called to this meeting. I'm one of the new members waiting to be inducted. But I just when Shivo Kibola sent me this call my attention, I quickly ran to check through my email, but I could see since June that I've made I think that I've last had a conversation via email as regard my registration. I've not heard from the Institute. I was only being told then that they will revert upon confirmation of my payment, but up to now I've not heard. I think that was the last confirmation. I just want to follow up on that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sorry if I may ask, you're at what stage of the registration now?
I think I have fulfilled all the required providing information and making the payment and sending my CV. What I just heard from what I learned from the email is that they will get back to me upon confirmation, and I've not actually heard from the institute.
Have you gotten a confirmation of payments in terms of receipts for your payments and also been assigned a location for your induction?
Yes, I think I got an email that attached an e-copy of your payment receipt, and I've not been given a location of induction.
I believe you have a letter of provisional admission. So on that, there should be your location for induction will have been, if you can take a look at that again, you have your location being highlighted on your letter. Because since you said you've made payments, it means you must have received that before you can pay. So kindly check.
Hello, President.
Yes.
Can come in. I've been given SPIM and it's supposed to be inducted on October 26th because they copied me the letter. So I wonder why I did not see it. They sent a copy of the letter to me.
You need to check the email and the inbox again. Then if you have any concern, just feel free to email the department. Since you've been slated for induction, exactly.
He can even check his spam mail. The information may be there. The mail may be there in your spam. Did you check the spam?
Well, I will check that.
If I recommended here and I got the confirmation in my own email, so definitely original email will go to him.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Just feel free to email or send us. You can even call me personally. I would also, try to reach out to the appropriate departments. I'm sure they are listening to you themselves. They won't wait for me to even remind them, before getting back to you. So sorry for the inconvenience.
Thank you, sir.
Technology sometimes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can be interesting. All right.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Do we still have any other question? In the absence of none, while we were discussing, we've been taking a screenshot of those of us that have activated our cameras, and we're also going to be sharing the pictures too, since we're meeting digitally. So this is the only means by which we can actually capture our group photographs. It's also an evidence and records for attending tonight's session. So thank you so much. You've been such a wonderful, esteemed members of our great institute. We are honored, we're blessed, and we're happy to have you on board. We cannot wait to see you attain the next level personally and even in your career. So thank you, everyone. Warm regards to the families, and we look forward to those that are going to be inducted in Port-Harcourt. Hope to see you by next week Saturday in Port-Harcourt by the grace of God, and those for Ghana, we shall also be looking forward to seeing you in Accra first week in October. So thank you, everyone. Do have a wonderful evening and warm regards to the families.